Alright, good afternoon. Welcome back to Three Swords Gaming. We're going to continue our Guild Wars 2 personal story playthrough here in Secrets of the Obscure as we get ready to try to track down Mabon, who's the Mersat within the what is it, Wizards Council? Nah, it's not a council. Anyway, with one of these wizards who's been corrupted by Cryptus. So we're going to try and track him down, find out what's going on with him, and hopefully rescue him or do what is necessary, as he stated in a previous instance, when talking about the possibility that he would be corrupted in some way, or presumably that's what he was talking about. So we'll see if any of that kind of I don't know that it was particularly cryptic, but that foreshadowing that he provided, we'll see if any of that comes to fruition.
How bad? Mabon isn't well.
Isn't well.
No, he's
with us. Mabon's this way.
Alright, so Zoja's emotional reactions to everything in this instance are kind of important. And to frame them in the story, it was Yuno who initially approached Zoja and kind of gave her the pitch for this this group of wizards. What are they called? Is it in here somewhere? Dragon's Watch. Wizard's Court. There it is, right there. How convenient. All right, so it was Yuno who initially kind of made the initial contact with Zoja to bring her into the Wizard's Court, but it was Mabon who really, truly brought her in and made her a part of it and made her feel welcome and trained her. And we'll get some of that here in this instance as well to understand why. They did a good job of making Zoja a central character without making her the constant emphasis of the story. I think that was pretty well done throughout Secrets of the Obscure. Because the character can be a major part without them having 90% of the dialogue, right? If done well. Alright, so we're all following Galrath here. The Undying, so apparently he has nothing to worry about. Alright. So there goes Zoja. We're going to watch Zoja for a minute. Hopefully without getting killed. There she goes. She's chasing after Mabon. So Mabon and Zoja just took off. But we are not going to follow because we have our hands full here with all kinds of Cryptus nonsense. And we're going to have to deal with that before we can go forward and join Zoja or figure out what she's got going on, whatever the case may be. We're going to get several waves of Cryptus here. These guys are rough. Well, I mean, not rough, so. But they'll knock you down, or they'll kind of launch you. And that can be mildly frustrating. Alright, so what is this? Wave 1 complete? There comes wave 2. One thing that I do like about Secrets of the Obscure, I think they actually did a pretty good job of, is so often in the story, and this is pretty normal for MMOs and even for just most role-playing games in general, the NPCs aren't actually of any help, right? They come along and they fight next to you, and it's like, oh great, we have these NPCs helping us. But the reality is that they don't help. They're just kind of present. But I feel like they did a pretty good job of balancing these group encounters where you have a lot of enemies and a lot of comrades alongside you in a way where the NPCs actually make a contribution, but you still have to put forth effort to successfully complete the encounter. And those the avatars of gluttony, when they do that like belly flop thing on you, oh no, it can be real problematic.
Back at it. We heal as one.
All right, here's our problem.
Clear the air. We heal as one. Does anyone see Zosha? Zosha, where are you?
Well, I saw her run off. Is that of any help? All right, let's head over this way. Because this is the general direction that Mabon went and Zoja was chasing, right? All right, even from here, we can see we got some Cryptus over here. So I did this instance earlier today on another account. Not so much to kind of scope it out before doing this, but more because I'm advancing that account as well. And I came over here and I saw, oh, look at all these Cryptus. Like, I'm just going to wipe them all out and then advance the story. Don't do that, because they're going to spawn indefinitely. And you're just going to end up killing like 100 Cryptus and wondering why things don't get any different. They don't get any different because...
Wayfinder, get to Zosha's side. We will keep the rest away.
Alright, and that's kind of our cue to tell us, to allow them to deal with all these Cryptus, and you continue to advance the story. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're not going to mess with any of the Cryptus at all. We're going to have our own Cryptus to deal with right here. So we see Mabon, we see Zoja,
Zosha!
and then Mabon is somehow, like, taken here. He's in a state where he's not responsive.
We need to fight.
And instead we have Asthenes.
Downright cruel to anyone who gives a damn.
It is actually Zoja. It's amazing you went this far in your life without actually coming to that realization.
Strengthen the pack.
Oh, and Zoja's down. So I would encourage you to try and get Zoja back up if you can. Because Asthenes here tends to focus Zoja if she's up. And so that's going to make the fight much easier for you as the player if this boss is focused on an NPC.
You sick? Saw me! Not just trophies and awards, me!
Okay, so there she's obviously referring to Mabon, not to what was it? Asthenes here. Alright, we use the heart thing to finish him off. Easy peasy, right?
You did not die in that place. You have a home.
Hey.
Be taken by the flow. I'll send word to the tower. Zizzle?
I like Sizzle. I'm alright with that frog. Alright, why did Mabon, why did Mabon die when you know, some of the other Wizard's Court folks that we rescued from possession didn't? For example, Dagda and Lear. I think we're meant to perceive, and they may even say it later. There's a weird event that happens here, by the way, where you, like, gather certain ingredients based off, like, their different things and put them in, like, forges to forge, like, spells or something. Anyway, that's off topic. They might even say it later, but I think we're meant to perceive that connection. We saw throughout the entire fight that there was a direct connection, like a beam going from Anasthes or whatever his name was, Asanthes, whatever it was, and Mabon, that he was drawing energy or life force, and by killing one, the other one was also exhausted of life force, so Mabon is dead. that would not be like completely unheard of in the world of Guild Wars 2. We saw something like that way back in season 2 when we were doing the Memories of Kaith, and we tried to rescue some Sylvari from like this mad scientist, Asura, and he had something similar set up between his golems and the Sylvari. So it's not something that we've like never ever seen before in the game. We have seen something like that, and we see it again here. So Mabon is dead. Like I mean that we got that if nothing else. So apparently we can talk to Zoja real quick. Let's talk to her before we talk to Dagda, because Dagda's got the story definitely advances symbol over her. We cannot, in fact, talk to Zoja. So Zoja pulls like a timey here, right? Like I don't know if that's an Asura trait, and she like runs off because she's distraught. I don't know. Maybe it's a human trait too, not one that I personally possess. But you know, she's overwhelmed. She runs off. Dagda, what are your thoughts?
How is she?
Well, not talking actually.
Heartbroken.
You should have seen them when times were less severe. Her flame was ill-tended when she first arrived, barely visible. But he helped tend to that flame once again, gave her the tools that she needed to keep it lit. She reminds me so much of him. Pardon. What are you thinking, little light? Do you know how proud Mabon was of you? How special you were to him?
And then he died.
But our memory of him didn't, nor did everything he taught you.
He took me in when the rest of the world forgot. I had so much more to learn from him.
You will only continue to grow, Zoja. But you have to choose that path. Mabon saw a spark in you, as he saw the stars in me. Tend to that flame, kindle it. Your future could be with us.
With you? I need to sit.
She'll be all right. She just needs to reflect. You should too. I know you didn't know him for very long, but I think you can see what he meant to us. Especially her.
His callousness clings to the air. I feel the warmth of his breath collecting on your skin. Disgusting. The dolt follows Eborg without a thought.
Who are you talking about?
Did Eborg send him simply to cause havoc before the main event?
Alright, so we get our obligatory Patha dialogue as well. So let's go back to the cutscene. I want to talk about a couple things that I really like out of the cutscene. Three. Let's talk about three things. One, I always felt in the core story like Zoja was quite old. She comes off as quite old. I think because she comes off as quite bitter, right? And Secrets of the Obscure gives us an explanation for why she comes off that way. In terms of like the loss of Snaf and how she was bitter and cold and short people after that, and that wasn't the true Zoja. This is the first time that I look at Zoja and see somebody who's young. They show her as, they communicate her as being young in that cutscene. It's a pretty well done cutscene. I quite like it, to be honest. And we have no reason to believe she's old. We have no reason to believe she's young, like Timey young. In fact, she's your mentor if you're Asura. And we see periods of time where she mentors Timey as well. So I don't know that she's young, but maybe not as old as she feels in core story. We see um, someone who has a future ahead of them instead of someone whose best years are behind them. And I think that's a great way to look at Zoja. Fun little thing where Dagda, let's see, do we get the, yeah, we do have the dialogue here. Let's lift our dialogue box up. Um, Mabon saw a spark in you as he saw the stars in me. So I like that. I quite like it because Dagda is the celestial wizard, right? So the stars in me, spark in you, and in a reference to Zoja being an elementalist. So that's nice. I like all that. Um, what was the third thing? Oh no, what was the third thing? I don't know. All good stuff. I don't remember what the third thing was, but um, oh yes, in terms of how they communicate emotion, I felt like the dialogue in that cutscene and in this instance is very good by ArenaNet standards. I quite like it. I quite like the very effective, relatable, accurate depiction of emotions when it comes to loss, and on Dagda's part as well, right? Because what do we tend to do when someone else is experiencing loss? We tend to kind of try and downplay it because that's the only way we know to comfort them, right? So we can't be like, someone loses a loved one and we're like, yeah, that's brutal, you'll never see them again, what a buzzkill, right? We don't do that because it feels cruel. So what do we do instead? We kind of try and minimize the pain, even though realistically, like that's also kind of calloused in a way. Oh, don't think about the pain of your loss, think about what you still have, which is really very little compared to the loss. And we see Dagda do that as well. But I really like Zoja's the way Zoja talks about it when she says, he took me in when the rest of the world forgot. I had so much more to learn from him. So I really like that I had so much more to learn from him, because we tend to, as people, and I think all the players of Guild Wars 2 are probably human, regardless of what Dagda or Zoja are. As human beings, we tend to frame or put into context loss in terms of the impact on us and what we no longer have, what we will no longer receive. That doesn't necessarily mean it's selfish. That's just how we understand relationships, is that exchange, right? So she does that as well. You know, I have so much more to, or I had so much more to learn from him, and now I will not. That's, I think, super relatable and understandable. So then we get Patha, doing like the Patha thing. We've seen Patha now. She very clearly is tied to the Cryptus in some way. I don't think that that's like a spoiler once we've seen her, and even before we've seen her, I think it's very clear that she's like not to be trusted. Like thus far, she's not betrayed us or given us a reason not to trust, but she's also not given us a reason to trust. Her last line, I think, is probably pretty important. Did Eparch send him simply to cause havoc before the main event? So when we wrap up the story for this release, keeping in mind that the expansion still has 3 more releases, right? Then I think that line is something that we need to keep in mind is in terms of the story, what we have experienced in this release is only the tip of the iceberg with the Cryptus and Eparch and Ceres and all that business, right? Dagda, what are your thoughts on being a Celestial Wizard and Zoja being bummed and Patha being creepy?
Thank you for standing with Zoja. I'm sure that battle will stay with her until she chooses to cross.
Her future being with you. What did you mean by that?
Zoja has amazing magical ability. When she arrived, it was untested. She'd spent so long focusing on her technological studies that she neglected the well of power at her feet. But she also knows much of the modern marvels that many of us do not comprehend. She is special.
You want her to join the wizard's court?
That will be Zoja's choice.
Okay, there's actually a lot of significance there. Again, I like the way that's framed, where Zoja kind of is at the nexus between magic and technology because of her understanding of a certain technology and stuff, and that makes Zoja meaningful to the Wizard's Court. And that's, although Yuno's demonstrated the same capability when she like worked on our communicator and stuff, right? So I don't know that Zoja is exclusive in that regard, but significant clearly, as Dagda explains there. But this whole conversation is meaningful and important because and it's Dagda's line where she says, "I'm sure that battle will stay with her until she chooses to cross." Well, why would it not stay with her after that? Because the process of joining the Wizard's Court means some form of ascension. I don't know that it's meant to be the same ascension that we see in Guild Wars 1 when it takes place several different times, 3 different times, once with each major release. But whether it is the same or not, the process of that ascension causes the person who is ascending to lose many or all of their past memories. So Zoja wouldn't necessarily remember this moment post ascension, in theory, right? TBD. Maybe we'll find out more. Frode, you got anything you want to talk about? You have a little dialogue box above your, or when I mouse over you. There was a time when I preferred the ward not to see me in mourning. I want to be a leader. Oh, so now you're mourning? What about your daughter? I want to be a leader they can lean on in times of struggle. But leaders mourn too. And Mabon, he meant a lot to you. Never told you how I came into the ward, have I? I was once a shaman of Worm. So shamans are really like part of the core religion, if you will, of the Norn. Each of the races in Tyria have like a thing that fills that void, although in the case of the Asura and the Char, it's not necessarily like a faith per se. With the Asura, it's like some kind of technological understanding of the metaphysical with the eternal alchemy, and then with the Char, it's more like they've neglected that and turned exclusively to like what we would call like humanism, except it's Charism or whatever. But the shamans are significant within Norn culture as their tie to the spiritual or the divine. Worm abandoned me with dire timing. I witnessed something terrible. My hunting party. ... we don't have to talk about this now. I mean, Shaman of Worm in of itself is kind of something. I don't know how to feel about that, but for the Norn, I guess that's if you're a Norn character, your whole story starts with slaying a giant worm, which is like revered by the Norn for its size and power. So. No, I'm fine. I witnessed same. Is that same? A friend gets stuck between transformations while we were hunting in the north. Something wrong happened. Something dark. Okay, that does sound terrible. Stuck between transformations. So many Norn possess the ability to turn into like kind of their spirit animal, for lack of a better term. Presumably Frode could turn into Worm, I guess. But for his friend to get stuck between transformations, that would be halfway between Norn and whatever it is that they were supposed to be transforming into. So that's freaky. Yeah, that sounds horrible. My faith was gone. I left my homestead. I couldn't look my family in the eye. I didn't think Irina, that's his daughter, who is now dead as far as we know. And maybe she's not. I'm kind of harping on that because I felt like they didn't quite do it justice in the story. She may not be. We may find her later in a subsequent release or something like that. Or maybe we find out more about her in this one and I just missed it on my first playthrough. I left to be on my own. Isgarn and Yuno found me next, having witnessed what I did. They brought me to Amnitas. I didn't truly heal until he sat with me, Mabon. He helped me work through that trauma. So this is so drastically different than our understanding of Mersat, right? And I think that's fairly gratifying. I knew him so briefly, but I know that Mabon was good. Well, so I guess coming from the commander, that's significant because we're talking about a Mersat. When Irina came looking for me, he was the one that brought her here. He thought we needed each other, and we did. Irina, if she's out there, we will find her. So we get mention of his daughter now. Okay, that's good. All right. Yeah, I would like to see that. I'd like to see them pay off on that a little bit more. I think completely ignoring it, is like real unfortunate from a storytelling standpoint. All right. Wayfinder. Hello. Oh, you know what? This is not story. I don't think this is a collection. Let's leave that right there. Go ahead and grab that. All right. Oh, yeah, we're not going to try and get that master point right now. For a minute I thought it was Ritlock, but nope. Yeah, isn't it nice that we don't see, like, Ritlock or Bram or, like I'm really pleased that aside from Zoja, like, we're not dealing with, oh, I can't zap back to the Wizard's Tower. I don't have the portal scroll yet. You don't get the after the story. I did find that to be kind of weird that they don't give it to you like somewhere around this point in the story. that instead you have to finish the story and do a collection to get the portal scroll. Um, very different than how they did End of Dragons, which in of itself was very different than how they did like some of the Living World seasons. But ultimately, we will get one, and I guess that's something to be grateful for. Wizard's Tower takes such a long time to load. I'm on an SSD, and it still takes like a long time to load. I think it's just because there's so much happening here, like between other players and all the NPCs and all the different like um, animated things that we see taking place here. I think that's probably why that is the case. All right. Yes. Oh, do we have to go like up, up, up? Yeah, we need to go up, up, up. I don't know why I say it 3 times. It's kind of weird. I assume you're not 7 years old. Probably don't need me doing that. Oh, did I go too high? I went too high. Well, since we're right here, might as well, right? Might as well. Hello, random sky scale and random unicorn, lion, dragon thing. I'm sure there's a name for those.
Wayfinder.
Frode.
I'm so sorry about Mabon.
He was kinder than we deserved. If we didn't have the Cryptus at our door, I'd light a fire in our hearth. We'd sing, drink in his name. But instead we fight. The Astral Ward is holding the front line at the Bastion of Strength.
When Mabon made his final journey, the Cryptus fell back. Huh. Got that going for us, at least.
The Bastion is presently secure, but when the next push begins...
The air is different. They're plotting something.
Then we better be at full strength when that happens.
We haven't seen Iskaran since the Bastion of the Celestial was overrun.
I assume he's near the spire, if not inside. What he's up to could be good or bad. Wayfinder, I need you out on the bastions. We could use a victory today.
I'll make sure the Cryptus feel our pain firsthand.
Oh no.
Where's Zoja?
In the barracks, I think. Seems to be taking this the hardest.
Alright, let's go talk to Zoja, and then I hope...
Wild magic has got to go.
Yeah, that sounds like a you problem, dude. Ooh, I hope we don't end up doing more rifts. That whole we need you out on the bastions thing kind of sounds rifty. I don't remember if we have to do more or not. God, I hope not. Last episode I did ended up being like entirely rifts. It's just nonsense.
Get it together. I'm one of the most awarded scholars in the colleges. I killed and
Not that I entirely
Whoops, we cut her off.
understand this whole wizard thing, but I think you'd be a great one.
did you hear all of that?
I can pretend I didn't.
I'd be able to let go of all this grief, Mabon, Maguma, but I'd leave almost everything of merit I've ever achieved. But come on, I made a life-changing decision just after Mabon died. If it came from anyone but Dagda, it'd be emotional warfare. I used to be so mad at everyone. You have no idea.
At me?
At the world. You didn't do anything, but... When I left Radasum, all I wanted was for you, or Logan, or Timmy to come looking for me. But I didn't want to be found. You guys were off saving the world, and I just wasn't ready for that again.
I figured you would have called if you needed us. I'm so sorry, Zoja. We would have come. I know I would have.
I know. I do. And I could have just as easily asked. I just wanted to feel wanted, you know? I was embarrassed to ask. But you can't know what I need unless I tell you.
What do you want to do?
I feel selfish for even humoring the idea.
You're happy here.
Radasum hasn't felt like home in years. Another researcher past her prime, they stopped asking me to speak at the colleges. But here, they know me. Even without Mabon, this feels like home. Especially with you here.
Whoa.
Then I'll support whatever you decide.
Yeah? How is Timey doing anyway? Behaving?
Absolutely not, but she's as bright as ever. And dating, if you can believe it.
Oh, alchemy. Nothing stops the march of time, does it?
I'll leave you to it. Frode needs me to... You know what? It's not important. Good luck, Zoja. I'm here, no matter what.
All right, most of that I really like. I think they overall did like a really great job with the story in Secrets of the Obscure. I really do. So when I pick at little things, like they're little things, like the vast chasm between like the bad story of like season 3 and Path of Fire, and like the really good story we get here. It's crazy. It's like night and day. If I were to kind of pick at anything, and I guess I'm going to, the one thing that's kind of a bummer, I think, for some players, is when Zoja, at the very beginning of that conversation, and Zoja's says, oh man, it's way back there. When I left Radasum, all I wanted was for you or Logan or Timey to come looking for me. But I didn't want to be found. So that initial delivery of all I wanted was for someone to come looking for me is kind of probably frustrating for some players who literally, like, on a weekly basis were asking ArenaNet, like in the forums and the subreddit stuff, like, where is Zoja, where is Zoja, where is Zoja? Had there been a place in Radasum where the player could go and check on Zoja's status, there are players who would have gone there daily. She was a beloved character. So it's kind of unfortunate that we are now kind of made out to be like we didn't care. And even the commanders, like, had I known, I would have swung by. You know, I didn't know that you wanted a visitor. Like, there were plenty of commanders who desperately wanted to visit Zoja and couldn't. So kind of a little bit of a buzzkill. But they followed up with, but I didn't want to be found. And so kind of helping frame that, letting the commander off the hook a little bit, which is good because, again, don't punish the player for your own plot line. And so they kind of give the player an out there. We understand that Zoja recognizes that the commander couldn't have found her under any circumstances because she didn't want to be found or she didn't want to see people. And earlier in the story, we get reference to the fact that Logan tried to get in touch. You know, he went and visited, and she, like, you know, kind of turned him away. She had the medics tell him that she wasn't available. What's the glowy thing? I never noticed that before. I turned into a ball. I don't want to be a ball. Can I? Cool. Alright, we got mail. Wayfinder, I do not mean to bother you, but when you were able, please check. I did. Worried that Mabon's... Can you please just... Why did we get this mail after we were done talking to Zoja? That's maybe like a tiny little error on Arena's part. We should have got that mail before going to talk to Zoja. Not sure what's up with that. Alright. Safeguard Amnitas before the final assault on World Spire. Real concerned that this is going to be risks. We'll have to see.
Wayfinder, Rian asked for you to check in with him once you've spoken to Zoja.
We talked.
Oh, did I ruin the dialogue by taking the... I figured this would be way more exciting than the than doing riffs. So now I messed up the dialogue. Oh no. What was Rion gonna say? Speak with Rion. Oh. But we get some Patha.
Who?
Is Garen's hands. Do not let your folly cease. The ends are threading together.
Alright, so interesting thing there that's made mention of, not specifically in the dialogue itself, but rather just kind of an interesting thing to note, is that we still don't have anything of his Garen, right? What the heck? Oh, I thought I had the updrafts. Oh, no. That's alright, there's a portal right here. So what's going on with his Garen while this is going on? Like, just how bad is this situation, you know? Oh, that was kind of dumb. Oh, so I literally have not figured out how to damage these things yet. Oh, someone asked the map chat, how do I damage these things? Yeah, good question. Something we all want to know the answer to. And nobody answered. Oh, fireball? Alright, where's the zippity zap? Where's the launching me into the air thing? No launching me into the air things here. Alright. Cool.
Come here.
Nope. I mean, we're doing some fire damage, but we're not actually... Or maybe that's what we were supposed to be doing, was fire damage. I do wish that the aiming ability for this guy scale was like a little bit more intuitive, because it is not currently like intuitive at all. Oh no, we got zapped into the thing. So legitimately, this is me avoiding doing rifts. We don't need to do the meta for the story in any way whatsoever. But what I'm going to do is, instead of doing rifts, which are stupid, I'm going to do this, then create a video break, then do the rifts, then start the next video. There have kind of been some negative reviews about this meta event. You know, some people not big fans. I understand why. I don't think it's their best work. I also don't think it's like egregiously bad. It's certainly better than, you know, egregiously bad is the second half of Gaiala Delves. That is egregiously bad. Oh no, we're too close to the boss. We're growing anxious. I don't want to grow anxious. I'm anxious about anxiety. Just like a real thing, right? Some people really experience that. Like, oh, what if I get upset about things? Weird. People are weird. Oh, so these, I have figured this out. These sentinel things that don't take damage from fireballs. Whoops, I missed. Like, use your super fast, you know, your, what is it actually called? Dash. Use your Sky Scales dash skill to take care of those. Alright, go team. Let's go down here and actually hit the thing in the face. Or get hit in the face. Both are options. Do the thing. Such a simple mechanic. I'm not sure. It's almost like, why did they introduce it when it seems like super simple? The whole removing the marked for death thing. I don't know. Do not know. Is this where we're going? Over here to the corner? We're just gonna stand in the slime or whatever it is. What is that? What is that? Like, demonic essence? Essence of not cool? Oh, I've marked for death. So I believe, I haven't quite figured it out, but I think that we can use that skill to remove it from other people. Oh, well, too late. I was trying to use it to remove it from that person, but I was not fast enough. Hey. So if you're pursuing legendary armor, you're going to need about 1 million stacks of pinch of stardust. And the this meta event actually gives like a an item that represents a whole bunch of stacks of stardust or pinches of stardust. It's like a pouch of stardust or something like that at the end of the meta. If you're pursuing legendary armor, strongly recommend take that thing when you complete the event. I am not going to be doing that on this account. Nope. Big nope. It's too much to do with more than one account. Now, do we go back up? I was kind of thinking there was another one of these little arenas that needed. Maybe not. Yeah, there is down there. You need to get updrafts. Updrafts on your sky scale is like a pretty big deal for Secrets of the Obscure. Not in terms of like that it's special, but rather it's pretty necessary to play these maps in the way you want to play them. So there is actually a tiny little aiming reticle on the Sky Scale's number 2 skill, which is so tiny and like so meaningless that it almost evades notice. Oops. I feel like we're missing a trick with these tentacles. And I'm wondering if these robots have something to do with it. I think the Guardians of the Obscure are the key. Should we try and get in one and see what happens?
I could outrun a centaur.
Oh, can we not get into them? I just assumed they were surrounded by the glowiness because you can get into them, but I guess not. Piercing rounds.
We nearly have it. Focus.
That takes a while to reload. Oh, again with the banishment. I'm banished. I don't like it. Also, this guy shoots out a giant laser at some point. If you stand right in the middle here, like if we were like back here where the white saffron is downed over here, then you very likely will get hit by like the lit. Oh, there it is. That was it. That was the laser beam. Every time I've been hit by it, it's been like somewhere in this ballpark right here. Anyway, let's go continue the fight.
Time to do some real damage.
Alright, we almost got it. Almost to the yoga. Everyone loves yoga. And this character is even like wearing yoga pants, so it's like a huge win for everyone involved. Alright, let's get to our yoga circle. I don't remember which one we put our mat in. Is it this one? I think it's this one, along with Askrod, Deathweave, and Yaoyoi. Prevu. We're over here with them. Alright. We're gonna watch, see? Blue thing. Blue thing. Oh, now it's on purple thing. There it is. Right above Dagda's head. We're gonna do yoga with Dagda. And we're gonna straight yoga this thing to death. So some folks kind of have like a bit of heartburn with this particular point in the instance. I find it like interesting what they're trying to achieve here. But I do agree that it's weird that the dragon's just gonna like sit here. Lear's just gonna like zap it, and it's not a dragon, but the monster is just gonna kind of hang out while we do this, and we're gonna go through our yoga routine, and it's gonna like look at the floor because Lear is doing whatever Lear's doing. That kind of doesn't feel good, and I saw someone suggest somewhere that maybe what should be happening is that we. That we need like one or two people in each circle doing the thing, and everyone else is defending them, fighting like a number of enemies who are like circling around here or something. Like I would find that a lot more gratifying as well. I thought that was a really good suggestion. Whoever put that into wherever it is I saw it. I think that would have been great. Just the same, all right. So we do the, at this point the meta's over, right? So this is just like. Go through the necessary emotes to get your loot. I don't know what happens if you don't do it. Alright. Shoot fireballs at eyeballs. Oh, there's the big laser beam. There's the big laser beam. Should we get it? Oh no, that's not the big laser beam. That's the robot holding off the big laser. Ah, well, doesn't matter. Oh, I'm not hitting right now. Oh, that eye's probably done. Where's some of the other eyes? I'm not hitting there either. Let's change our vantage point. There we go, we hit on that one. Alright, that eye's done. There we go, we hit something over there. What happens if we just fly through the middle of that? Are you curious about that? Oh, that's when we get the thing. Okay. Oh, and now I can't get my loot because the meta event finished. I'm going to go ahead and take responsibility for successfully helping everyone else complete the meta event by flying right into that laser. It definitely appears that I was the reason that we won. So I'm going to go ahead and just take that responsibility. I'm also about to be real disappointed because oh no, I'm not fully dead. I can get back up and get my loot. Nice. Oh, in fact, nice people are actually going to get me up. Thank you, nice people. We got everything? Oh yeah, I didn't get the big chest because I was on the ground. Alright, so much better than doing rifts, right? Aren't we all glad we did that? We need to do it at some point anyway.
Replenishing.
I mean, not for the story playthrough, but for the account. Needed to be done. Wasn't there some diving goggles? Where are those diving goggles at? Put on. Jump. And see this glowy thing there? That's what we're aiming for. It's a long fall. Oh, man. Oh, we got it. Nice. Oh, look, we're wearing eye things too. Oh, what fun. All right, let's wrap up our video here. We're going to take a quick video break. We're going to continue streaming. But this is a good spot to break at. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to knock out those stupid riffs and then pick up the next video there. And that way I'm not taking up part of my videos on the story with like riffs. We have seen more than enough riffs that we shouldn't have to do that anymore. So thank you for hanging out with me. We are moving towards we've lost Mabon, right? And that's a buzzkill, and it was especially hard for Zoja. But we need to really we need to find Isgaren, and we need to get to the bottom of this. Like the Isgaren thing, I don't think can be put off any longer. So when we come back, we will pick it up with our continued fight against Cryptus. Thank you.